Hi, it's Panda Movies here. Today I'm going to explain the horror movie called You Are Not My Mother. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. The movie began with Rita Delaney bringing Charlotte, her infant granddaughter, into the woods despite Charlotte's mother, Angela's, objections. Rita then placed the infant on the ground in the woods, started a fire ring around her, and proceeded to watch as Charlotte cried and screamed. In the present, Char has now grown up into a teenager and is living with her mother and grandmother. Her uncle Aaron, who lives nearby and occasionally visits, also lives nearby. The situation in their household was very dysfunctional. Rita's health was not great, Angela was depressed and spent most of her time in bed, and no one was really taking care of Charlotte and the rest of the house. It was time for Charlotte to go to school, and no one seemed to want to take her because her grandmother had an injury on her foot, and Angela didn't want to get out of bed. But in the end, Angela volunteered to take her to school. On the way to school, Charlotte asked her if she could stop by the store to get some food, and she was annoyed when Angela asked if she needed to visit the store. She then became very disoriented while driving and almost hit a horse, so Charlotte, in a rage, grabbed her bag and stormed out of the car. Before Charlotte could walk far, Angela told her that she can't do this anymore, and Char just told her to go home. Char went to a Catholic high school for women. Despite being academically intelligent, she does not fit in with the other students and was a victim of bullying because they saw her as someone who was socially inferior. In her art class, no one wanted to be her partner when the teacher told them to pair up, so she was forced to partner up with a girl who constantly bullied her. After class, her art teacher commended her when she submitted a painting of a figure covered in flames, which she claimed she saw in her dreams. On her way home, she saw her mom's car in the same spot, but discovered that she was missing. The family called the police to report Angela's disappearance, but there was no luck, making Aaron very frustrated. Later, Char told her uncle about what Angela told her, but Aaron didn't think much of it. While she was walking down an alley with her mother's picture in hand, she was approached by her school bullies, who forced her to smoke weed in exchange for her mother's picture. She then went to the middle of an open field and cleared her mind. Later that evening, Rita gave Char a ball made of twine and leaves to serve as protection. She then woke up from a nightmare in the middle of the night of her mother tied to a bed with her eyes and mouth sewn shut. She then saw her mother eating in the kitchen after hearing noises from downstairs. The next morning, Char, still very confused with the situation, was asked by her uncle to buy her mother's medicine. When she returned, she heard music playing in the kitchen and looked over to see Angela dressed up and cheerfully preparing dinner as if she had overcome her depression. Char ignored her mother's abrupt behavior, change despite her confusion and suspicion. Rita accidentally tipped the soup that Angela had made off the stove later that evening. As a result, the family is forced to eat the chips that Aaron has brought. Angela, on the other hand, sat angrily gazing at her mother and seemed to be lacking in appetite, and the mood of the whole dinner scene became very uncomfortable. Char started noticing her mom's new and odd behavior, starting with when she saw her in the bathroom in the middle of the night, sticking her whole fist in her mouth, and when she beat up her bullies in the alley when they were about to burn her face, and going into a lake with her clothes on and pulling Char underneath the water afterwards. When they got home, she noticed that her uncle Aaron had been poisoned and assumed it was from the tea Angela had given him earlier. This led to Aaron being hospitalized, which made her panic. Later on in the evening, Angela began acting very strangely. When she forced Char to dance with her and began dancing aggressively, Char became frightened and fled to her room where she sobbed. She quickly left the house without telling her mother the next morning as soon as she was ready for school. Meanwhile, Suzanne and Char started developing a friendship after Suzanne defended Char from being bullied by the other girls. When Suzanne was teaching Char how to smoke weed, she shared her own experience of having her mother pass away. Suzanne's mom died of drowning when she was very young. Char confided in her about the changes in her mother's behavior. Char then invited Suzanne for dinner. Later that evening, Char and Suzanne arrived at Char's house, and Rita immediately told her to leave when she knew who her mother was. When Rita and Char were talking privately, Suzanne went to the kitchen while looking at Char's baby pictures when suddenly a woman hovered over her and told her to leave. So Suzanne, out of fear, ran out of the house. Rita was forced to reveal to Char the truth about her past after Char became confused and demanded to know. Rita explained that when Char was a baby, she discovered she had been switched with a changeling and that the only way to get the real Char back was to place her near fire, which is why she lit a ring of fire around her when she was an infant. It was successful, but Char did get a little burn on her cheek, and her family claimed that the scar was a birthmark. Rita then informed Char that her mom had also become a changeling and that a new fire ritual must be performed to recover the original Angela. Char then forced her way to see her mother despite her grandmother's objections, and she was horrified to see Angela bound, gagged, and tied to a bed. Char pushed Rita out of the room and released Angela, only to discover too late that Angela had indeed become a changeling. Char was then pushed into her room to prevent her from knowing what was happening outside. The next morning, Char discovered that Rita had been killed, and Angela acted surprised. Later, Suzanne came to Char's house and made her go with her, making Angela very angry. When Char was luring her mother, who was going after her, the school bullied her and dragged her inside a Halloween bonfire that wasn't lit. But when Angela approached, the bullies ran away. Angela went to the bonfire and tried manipulating Char, but Char lit her on fire, causing the bonfire to be ignited. She was then saved from the flames by Suzanne. The movie ended with Angela going back to normal and their family starting fresh.